Before Rome ruled the world, it was terrified of the sea. The same Romans who later conquered half the planet once treated the ocean like a cursed place. A dark, unpredictable force that could swallow armies whole. But one day, that fear got tested. And what happened next flipped history upside down. Early Rome wasn't built for sea battles. These guys were hardcore land warriors, marching legions, clashing shields, taking over territories step by step. To them, the sea wasn't a battlefield. It was just something that got in the way. But over the horizon stood another power, Carthage. These people owned the waves. Their ships ruled the Mediterranean like modern-day aircraft carriers. They controlled the trade routes, the ports, the flow of wealth, everything. So when Rome started butting heads with Carthage over Sicily, it was like a boxer stepping into a swimming pool to fight a shark. In 264 BC, Rome and Carthage officially went to war. On land, Rome was unbeatable. At sea, they were like toddlers with wooden paddles. Carthage had professional sailors who grew up on ships, people who could read the waves like a second language. Rome had farmers and soldiers who got seasick. It wasn't going well. Then fate stepped in. During one of the early skirmishes, Rome managed to capture a Carthaginian warship. It was sleek, beautifully crafted, faster, and stronger than anything Rome had ever seen. When Roman engineers got their hands on it, they said, "So that's how it's done." They studied every plank, every nail, every curve. Then they did what Romans always did best. They copied it and made it even better. That single captured ship became the blueprint for the first true Roman navy. Soon, shipyards across Italy were roaring with activity. Thousands of workers were hammering away, building fleets out of nothing but determination and borrowed design. The Senate didn't just want to fight Carthage. They wanted to own the sea. And even though their sailors were still amateurs, Rome had something Carthage didn't: discipline. Every oar stroke, every maneuver was trained and perfected. The land power that once feared the ocean was about to turn the Mediterranean into its next battlefield. But Rome's engineers weren't done yet. They were about to invent something insane, a weapon so unique it turned sea battles into land fights. That invention would change everything. Rome had no navy, no experience, and no chance. Or so everyone thought. But one stolen ship was about to rewrite history forever. Previously, Rome had captured a Carthaginian warship. That one moment changed everything. A nation that once feared the ocean now had the blueprint to build its own navy. But what came next was something no one expected. Roman shipyards came alive with chaos and energy. Hammers echoed through every coastal town. They had never built ships like these before, but that didn't stop them. Using the captured Carthaginian design, Rome built more than 100 warships in record time. They trained soldiers to row, farmers to steer, and blacksmiths to become engineers. Every man learned to fight not on dirt, but on water. Rome wasn't born for the sea, but now it was adapting fast. Carthage laughed at first. To them, Rome's ships looked heavy and clumsy. They thought the first big storm would wipe that new fleet off the map, but they had no idea what Rome was planning. The Romans knew they couldn't outsail Carthage. Carthaginian ships were faster, their crews were better trained, and their tactics were unbeatable. So Rome changed the rules. They invented something called the Corvus, meaning the raven. It was a massive boarding plank with a heavy spike at the end. When dropped onto an enemy ship, it would pierce the deck and lock both ships together. Suddenly, sea battles weren't about sailing anymore. They became land battles on floating decks, and that was Rome's strength. Legionaries could now storm across, shields up, and fight hand to hand, just like they always did on land. This was genius. Rome didn't need to become expert sailors. They just needed to drag their enemies into their kind of fight. In 260 BC, Rome faced Carthage at the Battle of Mylae. It was their first major test at sea. Carthage came in confident, expecting an easy win. But when the first Carthaginian ship got close, Rome dropped the Corvus. The spike slammed down, locking the two ships together. Roman soldiers charged across and wiped out the enemy crew in minutes. The same thing happened again and again. Ship after ship fell to the Corvus. By the end of the battle, Rome had destroyed or captured 50 Carthaginian vessels. For the first time in history, Carthage was defeated at sea. The world couldn't believe it. The mighty sea empire had just been beaten by rookies with a plank and a spike. The Corvus turned Rome into a naval power almost overnight. Every victory boosted their confidence. Every ship they built carried this new invention. But there was a problem. The Corvus made ships heavier and slower. And in rough weather, that was deadly. When storms hit the Mediterranean, many Roman ships sank because of the extra weight. Hundreds of men and entire fleets were lost. Rome had tasted victory, but the sea was reminding them who really ruled the waves. Still, Rome refused to quit. They rebuilt their fleet again and again. They learned, they adapted, and they came back stronger every time. Because this war wasn't just about pride. It was about survival. Rome was determined to rule both land and sea, no matter the cost. What came next would test the limits of Roman endurance, and it would shape the future of the entire Mediterranean. Rome had done the impossible. They turned their weakness into power with one simple invention, the Corvus. But the sea wasn't done testing them yet. Victory came with a price, and the Mediterranean was about to make them pay. After the Battle of Mylae, Rome started believing they could conquer anything. But nature had its own plans. Massive storms hit the Mediterranean, and the heavy Roman ships couldn't handle them. The Corvus, which had been their secret weapon, became their curse. Waves smashed entire fleets apart. Thousands of soldiers drowned, and ships sank like stones. Rome lost more men to storms than to Carthage's navy. It was a brutal reminder that the sea didn't care about pride or power. Many in the Senate thought about giving up. They said, maybe the gods never wanted us to rule the ocean. But that wasn't Rome's way. They refused to bow to fate. Rome did what it always did best. They rebuilt. Even after losing hundreds of ships, they gathered the survivors, trained new crews, and started over. They redesigned their vessels, made them lighter and faster, and learned how to sail better. This time, they didn't just copy Carthage. They improved on everything. Each new fleet was faster, stronger, and more battle-ready than the last. Carthage, on the other hand, started losing confidence. Their enemies kept coming back no matter how many times they sank. For the first time, the Sea Empire felt fear. By 241 BC, Rome had rebuilt a fleet so massive that it shocked the entire Mediterranean. When the two powers clashed again near the Aegates Islands, Carthage expected another storm to save them. But this time, the weather was calm, and Rome was ready. Their sailors rowed with precision, their tactics were sharp, and their morale was unbreakable. The Corvus was gone, replaced with better designs and smarter strategy. Rome won decisively. Carthage was forced to surrender, and the First Punic War finally ended. The sea that once terrified Rome was now under its command. After defeating Carthage, Rome didn't stop. They expanded their control across every corner of the Mediterranean. From Spain to Greece, from North Africa to Asia Minor, Rome ruled every trade route and every port. Their navy became the backbone of the empire. It protected merchants, carried legions, and crushed pirates who tried to challenge Roman authority. For centuries, no one dared to fight them at sea again. Historians later called it Mare Nostrum, meaning our sea. The Mediterranean had truly become Rome's own backyard. The story of Rome's navy isn't just about war. It's about transformation. A landlocked republic that feared the waves became the greatest maritime empire the world had ever seen. They learned to turn disaster into innovation and fear into dominance. Rome didn't just survive the sea, they mastered it. And in doing so, they set the stage for centuries of peace and power known as the Pax Romana. Rome didn't rule the sea by luck or chance. They ruled it through grit, persistence, and an unshakable will to adapt. Every storm, every defeat, every setback only made them stronger. They didn't just build an empire. They built a legacy that still echoes across history. Rome became the sea, vast, powerful, eternal.